Hey, Charlie. So I wanted to return to a comment you made earlier about the generation of lost boys. You likened them to the Peter Pan movie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So when we're talking about Red Pill media as being a large influence, and I wanted to define that. It's a reference to the Matrix, in which a lot of these media heads talk about unplugging yourself, and it's about waking up to the realization that there is an active attack on masculinity, that men's rights need to be, that men are being oppressed in a way, and that men's rights need to be advocated for. Many people have attributed the Red Pill media to rise in this almost generation of lost boys. I kind of wanted to get your opinion on do you see this generation of lost boys as a failure of, say, masculinity, or are there potential other factors, economic, social factors, such as, the death of the American dream, increasing costs of living in America, increased costs of education? Are there any other reasons as to why this generation of lost boys might exist, or do you basically attribute it to
I acknowledge all of that, of course. I mean, one of them, it's a very good faith question, and thank you. In America, we made a stupid decision in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s to shut down our factories in the middle part of the country and basically disenfranchise and deindustrialize tens of millions of working class men and tell them to go move to the cities and learn to code. I said this in the previous Q&A, but I can again, which is that a family used to be able to be supported on a single income of 35 weeks of labor a year. Now it takes upwards of 60 weeks of labor a year. However, given all the economic and social and all those factors, the largest of all of them is the cultural and the educational that has infantilized men and hyper-feminized them in the messaging, in the outreach, and in the treatment. And so I can give you specific examples.
In what way has the education system infantilized men?
I mean, every possible way, from the hypermedication of young men, from in the core curriculum in America, we learn about toxic masculinity from ages 8 in public schools in California and in New York. We never talk about toxic femininity. Do you agree that there's toxic femininity as well?
I mean, I think it's an unfair double standard.
Why? Well, how can femininity not be toxic if masculinity can?
I'm not saying they can't be.
Do we teach kids about toxic femininity in our schools? No, tell me yes or no.
I mean, I think that they come from two very different places. I think toxic masculinity comes from a level of misogyny, where I think toxic femininity often comes from a reaction to a misogynistic system, which fundamentally oppresses and systematically oppresses women. And I'm not saying that toxic femininity is a good thing, but I'm saying it's a much more understood and valid reaction to a system of oppression versus toxic masculinity, which oppresses.
Okay. So even if I grant you that, are they teaching toxic? Has that term ever been used in a school that you know of?
What term?
Toxic femininity?
No, it's not.
Oh, that's weird. So only one sex gets criticized and called toxic. Maybe that creates a backlash.
Well, because one is creating a system of oppression.
Oh, no, that's your interpretation. No, you can make every excuse under the book that you'd like, but only one chromosome set gets criticized, called that they're terrible and awful, and that women basically need to be go into the corporate world with no reservation. And young men see this pattern in the West and in our country from the authors, from the curriculum, from the music, from the movies, and we see, and of course, again, in the educational system proper, we have seen the infantilization of the young male. And so again, we know the data, you did agree to it, that young men are checking out completely, but we're actually living under a hyper-feminist West that is toxic. What does that mean? Speech police, feelings first, emotion over reason, community over individualism. We're seeing this, and by the way, is it working? Is the West stronger as it's become more feminine in the last 30 years? No. In fact, our morale is weaker, we're more suicidal, our fertility rates are down, we have lost the balance, we've lost the yin and the yang between the male and the female. We lost what worked.
All right, I find it disturbing that someone that have stood side by side with Charlie Kirk just less than a few months ago would celebrate his death. This guy is George Abaraonye. Is a newly elected president of Oxford Union. The day Charlie Kirk died, or the next day, he posted this. I don't know if it's a tweet, but they say it's deleted. I've searched for it, I couldn't find it. Charlie Kirk got shot. Let's fucking go. He celebrated his death. Ever since then, people have been annoyed and protesting against his post, which he eventually deleted. I think so. Now, not just did he delete it, he deleted it, and according to a new post I'm seeing today, that he posted that his words were not as bad as Charlie Kirk's own is. That doesn't mean that you should celebrate it. Okay, this guy said the difference between him and the shooter is the opportunity. This dude is unstable and dangerous. He cannot stay in this position or be anywhere else near the campus. No, I disagree. I disagree that he shouldn't be anywhere else near the campus. I mean, he should get his education, but being the president of the club is where I have issues, because we are talking about free speech, right? He can say whatever he wants. But when you are in a position of leadership, you can't say whatever you want. People in leadership are held at different standards than the rest of the people. Just imagine someone like Donald Trump saying, kill gay people. Someone else can say kill gay people and it will be ignored. But if Donald Trump says kill gay people, that's on a whole new level, because gay people also voted for you. So if you say kill people that also voted for you, then that's a problem. That you can't say whatever you want. That it's a ground for impeachment, in my opinion. So being in a position of leadership, you can't say whatever you want. You've lost some rights. Immediately you got in a position of leadership, you've lost some rights. You've lost some right to privacy. You can be filmed whenever you're outside, whenever you are seen. Someone else can decide and tell you not to film me when I'm outside, okay? But if you're a president, you can't tell me not to film you, because I need to know what you're doing, and I need to have evidence when I'm saying that you did what you're doing. So he can be in the campus, but being in the same position as the president of the club, I think he can't do that. He shouldn't. I don't know if he can. Looking at the club's constitution, but I don't think he should. Celebrating someone's death, that's a whole new level. And considering that you've stood with this guy Charlie Kirk just a few months ago, and you still celebrate his death, his unnecessary, unprovoked death. That's bad. George Abaraonye needs to be sacked as president of the Oxford Union, not for posting the tweet before, which is free speech, but for deleting it, which is free speech fraud. Ever since then, a lot of videos have been coming out. A lot of videos have been coming out. Okay, the Oxford Union released a memo that they condemn his actions on his way within his right of free speech. There's a video of him that has been in circulation, one of his arguments in support of violent protest. I watched the video, and it's a 24 seconds video. I wanted to get the full context, so I went to watch the full statement that he made in another YouTube video, and this is what I found. First of all, this is the original video.
To effectively create change in the world we desire, And side prop will argue that at times there is simply nothing else that can be required other than violent retaliation. And this is a view I wholeheartedly agree with. The view that some institutions are too broken, too regressive, too oppressive to be reformed. Like cancers of our society, they must and they should be taken down by any means necessary.
All right, this is a 24-second clip of what he said. He said he wholeheartedly supports violent revolutions. So I needed to get a full context of what he probably meant by it. So this is the next video I found on an excerpt of the video where he made this particular statement from YouTube.
Mr. President, I'd like to first thank you for allowing me to speak on such a revered and respected topic. It truly is an honor to debate this motion, given the storied past and the history and legacy of such discussion. In the past 60 years since Malcolm came to this chamber, much has transpired. His assassination, no 3 months after his visit, a stark reminder of the cost of...
Malcolm X was murdered 3 months after coming to Oxford Union debate. Charlie Kirk, it's ironic, Charlie Kirk was in the same place a few months ago.
Fighting for what is right, a cost that no individual should feel that they need to pay, and yet one that all too many have been burdened with across history. In the past 60 years, we have witnessed many social movements, from the culmination of the civil rights movement to the BLM movement, the Stonewall riots, the Arab Spring, the LA riots, and many more, and current examples such as Extinction Rebellion or NSARS, protests carried out in drastically different ways to drastically different outcomes. I say all this to provide context for the title of this debate. As we continue onwards on the idea of moderation in the pursuit of justice, it speaks to the need to step away from extremism, to effectively create change in the world we desire. And side prop will argue that at times there is simply nothing else that can be required other than violent retaliation. And this is a view I wholeheartedly agree with. The view that some institutions are too broken, too regressive, too oppressive to be reformed. Like cancers of our society, they must and they should be taken down by any means necessary. But in our pursuit of justice, is violence the most effective way to go about creating the change we seek? Tonight, I will argue that, in fact, peaceful protest can be more effective at bringing about sustainable, tangible improvement to those who fight for it.
Okay. He still believes that peaceful protest is better than violent revolution. That's why it's important to get context from every short video clip that you watch. But that's still not enough, because it seems that he's only saying that because it's a debate topic. He was given the topic to say, so he needed to, and he was probably contesting for election that time, so he needed to say something that would get him votes, even if he doesn't believe them.
Now, as we return to the debate, I want to emphasize the impact that peaceful and non-violent protests can have in bringing about major social and political change. Ultimately, protest seeks to impact policy. Sustainable long-term change only comes via dismantling the mechanisms of oppression used to put people down, and the most effective way to bridge towards progressive policy is through non-violent protest. In a 2020 paper, it was found that during the civil rights movement of the 60s, states with non-violent protests saw Democratic candidates gain more voters. It's also widely understood that non-violent protests see more support from both the general public and elected officials, who can sympathize with the aims and the goals of those in protest without being radicalized to the same degree.
So that is it. One of the reasons why I got interested in him, or in what he said, is because of his name, George Abaraonye. Abaraonye sounds like an Igbo name, so the guy is a Nigerian, I guess. I just have this affinity of, okay, let me talk about this guy because he's a Nigerian and he's probably Igbo. His parents could be Nigerians, but that doesn't exactly make him a Nigerian. That's one of the arguments that I made. Because you are black doesn't mean that you're an African. Because you don't have the same belief system with Africans, you wouldn't respect African cultures. The Igbos are not known to be violent and believe that people should be killed by their opinion. that's not a good representation of the Igbos. So I don't think that it's even okay to call him an Igbo anymore, because Charlie Kirk got shot. Let's fucking go. No, that's terrible. That's terrible. He's not this is not Igbo. This is not Nigerian. But it's okay. Just like I said, he probably made his debate comments that peaceful protest is better than violent protest, because he was contesting for an election and he needed votes. But in the times of opportunities, that's where you see a person's true character. And the death of Charlie Kirk has actually showed what he truly believes. And I think that what he truly believes is dangerous. But it shouldn't be enough to expel him from the school. He should just finish his education, but he shouldn't still be the president. If I'm a member of the club, I wouldn't want to have him as the president of the club, because he's like the face of the club. So he shouldn't have some extreme radical views, unless the club is an extreme radical club.